Great to be back at SaaStock here. I'll look a little bit back to start out with. 1.5 years ago, I met with a top-tier VC in the US, discussing the industry, market, funding, and so on. And this was just 2 months after our very first acquisition of Australian-based AI knowledge company Ellevio out of Melbourne, which we were quite proud about. Quite quickly in this talk, it became clear that this VC only invested in 100% organic growth companies and did not believe in M&A as a way to grow your product, your business, or your organization. So, not surprisingly, it was a very short meeting, and that VC never invested in Dixa. However, 2 months later, we closed our Series C funding of $105 million, led by General Atlantic. So with that story, I'm here to talk a little bit about how M&A can be a great successful way to drive your company from a product, growth, people, or whatever shape or form you need. And not as a defensive plan B, as many critics judge it. I'm also going to give you 3, hopefully, valuable insights from our journey and our M&A strategy. And our M&A strategy has been centered around a product strategy, a technology M&A, so to speak. So, very briefly, a little bit about me for context and about Dixa. 3 times founder, 3 times dad, 3 boys, married to the same wife, 2 exits, and 6 acquisitions where I've been on the buying side of the table. About Dixa, as mentioned, we are a next-generation customer service platform, helping brands deliver effortless experiences or service experiences across all channels in a conversational, engaging, and loyalty-building way. And we are challenging significantly companies like Zendesk, Freshdesk, and Intercom. We were founded in 2016 and launched in 2018, and we have received a total of $155 million, and we are at Series C stage. Globally, we are 250 Dixitarians, and we are headquartered in Copenhagen, Denmark, offices in London, Berlin, Paris, Lyon, Chicago, and Melbourne. And as mentioned, acquired Ellevio in February 2021, and Solvemate and Miuros in February of this year. Solvemate, a automation chatbot pioneer. Miuros is a customer insights and QA platform out of Paris. So to start out, a little bit of context and quite a depressing number, actually. Because according to the majority of studies, everything between 70% and 90% of all acquisitions fail. And the reason for this depressing number is to be found in the problems and challenges in integrating the 2 companies. From a people, from a product, and from a revenue profit perspective. So, if we look a little bit on that depressing stat and take the risk and rewards in an M&A strategy, as mentioned, our M&A strategy is centered around customer experiences. We call our strategy, which is a product strategy, not an M&A strategy, we call that the effortless trinity. And that actually started not that long after our Series B funding, where we were looking at our customer service platform and figuring out what do we need in the next layer to help all these brands globally to succeed with effortless service experiences. So, if we look at the acquisitions, as mentioned, we acquired Ellevio, the AI knowledge base, but we also did a double acquisition in February of Solvemate out of Berlin and Miuros out of Paris. And just a disclaimer, not to be recommended to do that at the same time. It was not on purpose, but it happened, and it became a big success for us to actually do that at the same time and announce it at the same time. So 3 acquisitions within 1 year, and that is why we believe we have some interesting insights we want to share with you on do's and don'ts, and we definitely made our fair share of mistakes, But what we did, well, we had some help to take that depressing number down of the risk of failure, was that we actually took an ecosystem approach to merchant acquisitions. So we were very lucky that we had some strong partners in the ecosystem that were already integrated to our big platform. And as a platform play, we had several partners in all the different verticals. So we actually knew the companies quite well. We knew the founders, we knew the technology, and we had a lot of customers in common. So this is basically what we call an ecosystem approach to M&A, or a consideration about building or buying or partnering up, which we still do today to a large extent. So here you can see the effortless trinity is centered around building effortless experiences for both end customers, our customers' customers, and the customer service agents using our tool every day. And then leveraging automation, knowledge, quality assurance, and insights. So maybe not surprisingly, but at least for us it was, we followed a classic recipe for acquisitions, being very respectful about the company we acquired. So with Elevio, to be honest, we made our fair share of mistakes. We kept the organization, the product, the growth, so to speak, a very PLG company, by the way, separate for too long, instead of very fast integrating the products and the revenues and customers into one. The good news was that the Elevio team was living in Melbourne, far away from Copenhagen and London and Berlin, and was actually really good at driving a lot of that integration themselves. That was pure luck. What we did also wrong was basically not to have them close. We were not able to travel due to the pandemic. We never met the founders. We knew them through our partnership, but the first time we met them was at a Founders Club offsite last week, which is just to put it a little bit in perspective. So the secret, so to speak, to an M&A strategy and the 3 Ps, people, product, and profit, is to faster than you can count to 10 to do your integration on the product and the profit side, meaning starting to cross-sell, upsell, and knowing the customers you acquire. At the same time, empower your founders. I'll get back to that as number one, insightful information, and then the people and culture. You are a new company. You will have a unified, merged culture, but you need to do it fast. Otherwise, you will have a risk of siloing the organization and losing a lot of talent and IP on the way. And remember, we tried to replicate how a corporate would buy a separate brand and let it live alone for a long time. Did not work. Scale-ups buying startups or startups buying startups is a different ballgame. You have to continue to be very fast. If we zoom out just a little bit, based on our experiences, and the talks about 100% organic or an M&A hybrid, when we talk about SaaS growth, in 2019, only 600 startups acquired other startups. In 2020, it was 700, and in 21, it was 1,300. Already this year, as this article from TechCrunch is from June, we're seeing that 700 companies have been acquired by other VC-backed companies. And this is even in the current market landscape where we have a lot of recession and challenges going on. So this is definitely going out there. Maybe it's not already always announced, but it's a big thing. And it's probably here to stay. So, to the 3 actionable insights. And it can seem obvious and easy to do, but I can tell you it's not. Number 1, empower the founders you acquire from the companies as your new co-founders. In Dixa, in total today, we are 10 founders now. 3 from Dixa, 3 from Miuros, 2 from Solvemate, and 2 from Elevio, from all over the world. You have to give them and ensure the founders have impactful roles, strategic roles, if you want to keep the talent, the IP, the knowledge to drive your company forward. You hear many stories of founders leaving after 6 months, 4 months after acquisition, or a big exit for that matter, or an IPO. For startups acquiring other startups, you cannot afford that. You need them fully empowered. You need to listen to their dreams and why they joined your company, hopefully not out of need or challenges only. You need to have a unified point of vision for joining and building a platform play. There's a difference in acquiring companies for platform play and for growth and tooling. And then the culture starts with the founders. So if you want to have a unified culture, and just as an example, we acquired 2 companies in February at the same time, both being 100% remote. And we are a hybrid company with offices all over the world. You have to figure out how you can build a hybrid and how you can merge these things. And a very practical example is that 4 times a year we meet. We call it a founders club, and it's not a layer that is set up in the organization to decide necessarily, but to guide and help the executive management team and the board and the investors on the right strategy and vision going forward. Then we have the 48-hour rule, which is basically around that you have to get on a plane, visit the companies and the people you acquire immediately after you have announced it on your town hall and to your entire organization, and at the same time as you're announcing it to the world, and TechCrunch and whoever picks it up. Coming from a hybrid or a remote world, it maybe seems logic that you basically continue what you've done, but you have to gather as many cross-functional leaders, so to speak, and then you have to go there. So we flew to Geneva, we drove to Lyon, back to Geneva, to Berlin, Amsterdam, home to Copenhagen in 48 hours to visit all the people that we had invited to the new family. It maybe sounds simple to do, but you have to do it in a genuine way. You have to be very, very clear what you say about bringing new family members in. You have to remember that the founders and many of the people there, that could be a VP of product, VP customer success, they probably signed up for a different journey than being acquired. So you have a big job in getting all these people intensified to join the company. Number 3, be outward-looking from day one. And here you need to have a lot of work to be done during your due diligence. You need to clarify a common goal. We call it the Dixa family. We even have colors that shows the different brands and the companies that are respectful to what they actually brand themselves about. And you also need to make sure that in your acquisition strategy, that you build in a foundation that is loyal to your own journey. And therefore, what we do very transparently, very early in the process, when we talk to companies about a tech acquisition, it's 50-50. So 50 shares, 50 cash. That is the rules of engagement when we move forward. So that the founders, key employees, and all people, all Dixitarians, actually have warrants. They are on the same vesting and the same journey together. And again, acquiring globally, you have to continue thinking globally. We are a Danish startup. We come from a very small country, a very small market, so we've been used to that. But you have to continue that journey at the same time. You have to deeply respect the local knowledge of the local markets that you're entering, typically are entering when you acquire a company. For us, Solvemate, the chatbot automation pioneer, opened up DACH for us, and we're growing very, very fast in this market space now. France is next, where we have Miuros headquartered, and so on and so forth. So local know-how in the market is key, but you also have to communicate it, that you embrace it. You need to have a plan for your go-to-market, for your product-market fit, as a unified family from day one. So the clear vision is really, really key. If you get that wrong, you'll have a lot of people sitting out there in the acquired companies not believing in the journey together. So We've heard a lot on this stage specifically, and we really admire and respect the unicorns and the PLG-driven growth and all these things. And to be quite honest, right now I think many of us, or many of you, see it as a challenging time to be out raising funds. Startups, scale-ups, growth rounds, definitely taking a huge hit. But any crisis, any recession also offers opportunities. I do believe that there are a lot of opportunities out there for great startups that would like to join a scale-up or even larger organization in these times. And for us on the buying side, I think there's a lot of good bargains to be made, respectful, of course, of the situation. But I think we'll see that number continue rest of year to grow significantly and maybe be bigger than 21, because there is a lot of appetite still, and there's a lot of opportunity out there to actually drive growth through an M&A strategy. As with everything, it is a risk and reward game. If you don't take it very serious as a company, you have your backing from your investors, from your board, and from the executive leadership team, and you don't see it as a defensive plan B, but as a plan A for driving either product, technology like we did, and we do, or actually acquiring your way into new market, taking out competitors that are maybe struggling these days because they're running out of funding or money. If you do it in the right way and take it very serious, and remember that it will probably take you 1 or 2 quarters, maybe even a full year of investment to get it right, where you maybe will take a hit on your organic growth, maybe not, but you have to remember that there is a huge opportunity and a huge reward, but there's also a risk. And again, to take a number down on the 70 to 90% failure, all focus has to be already in the 48 hours after your acquisition has been announced, integration, merging the teams, and then again, spending all the time, as much time as you can, with your customers. Your new customers, your existing customers, because a lot of them will probably feel that they are in for a change that not necessarily will be good. A final part for me, when you do acquisitions in your own ecosystem, there is a final risk you have to be aware of, but it's still also an opportunity that the existing partners, there could be chatbot partners. We have 8 partners, and many of them still with us. But if you acquire into your tech vertical of integration, there is, of course, a risk that some of these partners will not play with you anymore. SaaS is notoriously known for a frenemy game and ecosystem play, but that's, of course, also a trade-off you have to make and a risk analysis you have to make when moving into this. So with these words, I urge you all to consider M&A, whether you're on the selling or buying side, or looking at merger of equals, or at least very large acquisition. We've seen it from Profitwell and Paddle here at SaaStock. We've seen it from ZoomInfo and Discover.org joining forces. There's a lot of good stuff going on where it's actually already in the early days a bit success. So the future is bright, even though it can be challenging, and M&A can definitely be a good way to grow your company. So with those words, thank you so much for having me here and listening, and thank you SaaStock and Alex and team for another great event this year. Thank you.